All right, real quick. For some of you, the next 9 minutes are going to change how you look at all this drastically, big time. And I mean it, because when I got this, the way I looked at all of it, the way I looked at all my life, changed big time. I invite you to notice. The subtleness that shows up when we really play with the pearl of great price. I really want you to notice, have you bought it? I want you to notice when and where you sell it. Because that's the key to getting this exactly right. By the way, did you know a chicken nugget has 41 ingredients in it? Only one of them is chicken. And that's how most people try to manifest. Right? There's only one tiny little part. Meanwhile, I buy the pearl. I go full out, and that's the only thing I live by. Dive in, have fun, enjoy the pearl play recording. When your manifesting suddenly stops working, you're blaming the wrong bit. God, this is so important, and I can't tell you. I can give you hints. I can invite you to dive deeper. But you really have to notice this. When your manifesting suddenly stops working, you're blaming the wrong bit in some area, in some aspect of your life. It's always true. There's only one cause, and that's the imaginal experience. The imaginal experience, this is how I define a scene, this is how I define a state. A scene and a state are how you experience what you experience. The state of loving husband experiences flowers in a very different way than the state of loving teacher. The state of loving teacher doesn't really experience lovely flowers. They're background noise. The state of loving puppy dad can experience lovely flowers. Right? I can notice Bruce peeing on him. He's just marking his territory, they would say. Good boy. See, here's what I notice. How you experience what you experience really matters. And it might be the only thing that matters. And any concept that distracts you from that delays your blessings. This is why I'm ferocious when people bring in stuff that just doesn't matter. Because there's so much that just doesn't matter. And I'm not going to go into a list right now of just what doesn't matter, but I can tell you this. Try these couple little things on. Consciousness is the only reality. Neville Goddard said that. I keep exploring in different programs and in different ways and in the podcast that how you are conscious of anything determines how it shows up in your life. Neville Goddard said your awareness of being is God. You have to give up your belief in any power outside of you. Period. And this can be subtle because we'll do the crass commercial. 21,237 emails over the past, decade, 20 years. I forget what time frame I established on it. I had to do a cutoff date. 21,237 emails. I think that may be since I came to Australia. Are from people who in one area or aspect of their life haven't fully bought the pearl. And they've subtly blamed something. What they're saying. God, as soon as you blame your words, as soon as you blame the politics, as soon as you blame anything other than your current imaginal experience, you've sold the pearl. All right, let's do a little bit of a crass commercial. Ready? So I decided I wasn't voting back in, when the hell was it? June, I think. And on Australia, Australians must vote, and only Australians can vote. And they have to be alive, unlike some people in Philadelphia, apparently. But here's what's really, really cool. Not only am I required to vote, but I get fined if I don't. And I decided I wasn't voting. I just have no interest in it. I decided I'd pay the fine. And so I decided I'd pay the fine. Then I started looking it up. How much is the fine? I wasted about a whole 10 minutes on that. Asked my buddy who says he knows everything. His son couldn't even tell me. His son knows everything about everything, apparently. But meanwhile, so I decided I would do a call. And we did the Pearl of Great Price call. That turned into 3 calls. We explored the Pearl of Great Price for something like almost 5 hours. Might be over 5 hours. Because that is the one thing we stuck right in the middle of ManifestingMasteryCourse.com, because if you don't buy the Pearl, you can do everything right. But if you're still blaming Akka chords, if you're still blaming karma, if you're still waiting for lessons from the universe that you must have before you get what you want, if you're still blaming when you were born, if you're still blaming whether or not you've got a woolly or a pee-pee, right? If you're still blaming whether you've got an innie or an outie, if you're still blaming your parents, if you're still blaming your past, if you're still blaming your body, by the way, this one's sneaky. Because when you blame yesterday for tomorrow, you go, well, tomorrow's probably pretty much going to be the same. You just entered the world of probability. In the world of probability, you do not have the Pearl. If you honestly expect tomorrow to be like today because of what today was like, if you honestly believe tomorrow to be what like yesterday was like because of what yesterday and today were like, you've sold the Pearl. And that's why week 1 in Manifesting Mastery begins with The Girls Giggled. This is all about buying the Pearl. That whole course is about buying the Pearl. What's really cool is no matter what, we can keep diving deeper, because a Pearl starts with a piece of grit. A grit is where you haven't bought any. A grit is where you sell the Pearl. Think about this. A little piece of grit gets inside of an oyster shell. And that little piece of grit gets layers and 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 layers of stuff on it. That becomes the Pearl. The Pearl isn't like a diamond. A diamond is one thing with many facets. The Pearl has layers and layers and layers. Why do you think that was used as the metaphor, the analogy? Because there's so many layers of you. Beliefs and belief systems don't matter. They follow. Each state has its own bundle of beliefs. When you change a state, your beliefs change. Beliefs are virtual nouns. Think about this. The imaginal act is a verb. It's an experience. How you experience the sound of my voice is a verb. How you experience what you experience about money is a verb. And people are trying to change their nouns. And then they blame things like the government, a virtual noun. Or they blame the economy, a virtual noun. Think about it, there is no such thing as the economy. There's your experience of money. There's your experience of prosperity. But if you're waiting for the economy to change, have fun. You sold the Pearl. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to dive into the Pearl. 2 ways you can do that. 1, if you have not done ManifestingMasteryCourse.com, it's that $97 program that should be about $997. Just to be blunt. It's $97. It's a 90-day program. People cringe when they hear stuff like that. 90 days, that's a long time. Radio, wait 3 years and do it. Some people do that. Meanwhile, you could collect bullshit on Reddit. Oh, how's that working for you? Right? Meanwhile, or you could do a structured program that takes 10 minutes a day max. ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. If you really want to dive deep into the Pearl, because we only explored for a week right in the middle of ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. That's all we had time for. Right? We've got PearlPowerPack.com. That's where we have those 5 hours of delicious live calls. 3 live calls we did, 5 hours total. There's some lovely little handout bits you can print out if you like wiping out rainforests like I do. Some folks don't have a sense of humor. I say stuff like that and I get hate mail. It's like, good Lord. You're imagining me printing something out is wiping out the earth. What about what you're imagining? See, that's how fast this shit is. You imagine shit? Well, I didn't imagine getting stressed out and having hypertension 20. I just imagined arguing with everyone about everything and always being right. Because here's the deal, guys. You can be right or you can be happy. You can continue on the course you're on, or you can amp things up. I'm a massive fan of continuously amping things up. I just am not content putting the car in neutral and drifting. I like getting into first, chirping the tires into second, chirping the tires into third, chirping the tires into fourth. Oh, and then there's fifth gear, baby. I better know where all the traffic cameras are because I'm having fun. If you got gold today, pearlpowerpack.com if you want the deep dive. And if you're building the foundations, build them right at manifestingmasterycourse.com. See ya.